Alright, what's up guys, it's Harper here with another video, and today's video is going to be the poor man's Orochi in Summoner's War. If you don't know, Orochi is the Wind Ninja. Now, basically Orochi is pretty good as an early game monster. He's a pretty good nuker, and a giant speed 10 nuker in particular when you are a beginner, and then the farther you go, the less and less you'll use him. But I still think as a mid to late game player, you can still find uses for him because of his third skill. Just is pretty unique. So, alright, so I'm just going to throw this out there that this is my opinion. So, if your opinion is different or whatever, then that's fine. Leave it down in the comments. But this is my opinion. It's not the right choice or whatever. It's my opinion. So, I was just saying that before we get started. So, let's go ahead and look into Orochi skills. Alright, so Orochi, let's read these skills. So basically, first skill is a dot for 1 turn. That's all it does. Second skill does great damage. So I think it has a pretty good multiplier. Pretty sure the skill has a pretty good multiplier. By slashing the enemy, reduces the attack bar by 30%, and the damage increases according to his speed. So the more speed, the more damage he'll do on that second skill. And that one can hit hard with the defense break and attack buff especially. That one can hit pretty hard. Now, the third skill is pretty unique. So, throw 6 ninja stars, dealing damage and inflicting a dot for 1 turn if you get a crit. So, if you have a 100% crit rate, it'll put 6 dots on. So, for Giant Speed 10, he's really good, especially for beginners. It'll bring, 6 dots is 30% of the boss's HP. Now, max skilled, I don't know what it is. I think it's 4 turns max skilled. So, every 4 turns you're doing 30% of the boss's HP, assuming you crit every time and land every time. So, think about, as a beginner, before you have enough good runes to build a really fast speed team, he improves your speed so much because of those dots, doing 30% of the HP. That's great. And with Vero, if you're using Vero, putting dots in too, or Megan or whoever, the dots add up and they will kill the boss a lot faster than your original team with 5 supports. If you use Orochi, he's going to speed up your team. If you're using a 5-minute team, he'll speed it up a lot. So, Orochi, honestly, is a pretty good monster, in my opinion. Also, his leader skill is Wind Monster's attack speed 30. If you're using a kind of beginner's team, you'll be using mostly Wind Monsters, and then the speed lead will make this skill hit even harder. So, the way you're going to want to rune Orochi is, the way people would rune him is speed, HP, or speed, crit rate, and HP. Probably. You can also go speed, crit rate, attack if you have a little better runes, which is preferred because then he's doing more damage on the stages leading up to the boss, and then on the boss too with his first and second skill. He also does dots with his first skill, so he's putting on even more dots. He puts on a lot of dots, so he does do good damage to the boss and the mini boss too. So if you are beginning though, you'll probably be runing him with speed, HP, and some crit rate. So basically you're gonna want 100 crit rate on him definitely, and then as much speed and HP as you can get, or as much speed and attack as you can get, and then crit damage if you're more, if your runes are a little better. So now let's get into the poor man's. I think the poor man's on this is very close, and it resembles it really, really close in my opinion. So the poor man's Orochi is Taharis, the Wind Elemental. Now this is a natural 2-star. So that's why this is so great. For all you people that don't have Orochis, and you guys are kind of beginners, and you really want an Orochi, you can get this guy easily. And he's very, very close to Orochi. Really, he really is. The first skill does a dot for 2 turns if you get a critical hit. So that's even better than Orochi, because Orochi does a dot for 1 turn, whereas this guy's doing a dot for 2 turns. So that's even better. His second skill is a self buff, increases attack power and crit rate, and increases your attack bar by 50%. And that's pretty good because you're going to be wanting to build him Nuki anyways, so the attack power and crit rate buff will just complement that even more. Also, the critical rate buff is good because his first skill, you have to crit to get the dot. And his third skill, inflicts a deep wound to the target, leaving 2 dots for 3 turns. So 2 times 3, that's 6 dots, right? So that's exactly the same as Orochi, except it's going to take 3 turns for him to detonate rather than 1, because Orochi's all at once, which is why he is a little better. And he is a little better. Of course, this is poor man's monster, but this is still really close to the same thing, and he is way more easily obtainable. He's a natural 2-star, so anyone can get him. So he does the first and third skill are really close to Orochi. The second skill isn't the same as Orochi's, but again, indirectly it kind of is, because he's setting himself up to do more damage. And Orochi just does damage on his second skill. So that's kind of close too. So the main difference between the two is that Taharis' dots are going to take a little bit longer to detonate, because they are 3 turns. So by the time you get all 6 of them, it'll be 3 turns that the boss gets. And this one is 2 turns, but still, I mean, it's still very, very close to Orochi. Another big difference between the two is that Taharis' base stats aren't as good as Orochi's, of course. He's a natural 2-star, Orochi's a natural 4-star. So Orochi's base stats are a lot better. His HP, everything like that is a lot better. They have the same base speed, but the HP, attack, and defense are going to be higher than Orochi's. But basically, they are just such a close monster that I think Taharis is definitely considered the poor man's Orochi. Their first and third skills are just really, really similar. The main places you're going to be using Taharis or Orochi, if you have Orochi, is going to be Giant Speed 10 especially, and then all the elemental dungeons, so except for fire. So Hall of Wind, Hall of Water, Hall of Light, Hall of Dark, and Hall of Magic. You can use Taharis or Orochi a lot. Giant Speed 10 too. I think they're both really pretty useful monsters in this game, so I think Taharis is actually a pretty good build, honestly, especially if you don't have a Orochi. So anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down in the comments. If you have any video ideas, leave them down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.